Welcome to Engineering Influence, a podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. And today we are previewing the upcoming Private Market Symposium on Commercial and Residential Real Estate, which is taking place on March 3rd and 4th in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, right in the heart of the Sun Belt and the residential construction boom that's going on. And to talk about the event, this is the second in a series of Private Market Symposium. Aaron McLaughlin, who is our VP of Private Market Resources. And Aaron, this is going to be a great event. This is the second in the series. Tell us, why this event, why this subject, and why are we looking at Scottsdale? Really?
Absolutely. Well, we are recording this on Groundhog Day,
Yes.
as some folks may or may not realize. So we have 6 more weeks of winter. So I can think of no better place for us to go in less than 6 weeks than Scottsdale, Arizona, from here in the freezing Mid-Atlantic region. Well, I hope everybody is doing well. So, as many of our listeners may know, we have started a series of private market symposiums, a national series, where we go to the hottest markets in the country to talk about our key markets with thought leaders and clients in sort of an intimate environment. It's a fairly small group. So I encourage folks to go ahead and register as soon as possible. So we started in December with Charleston, South Carolina, talking about logistics, intermodal, industrial real estate. And now we are headed to the Sun Belt, to Scottsdale, Arizona, to talk about commercial and residential real estate. So, it was a no-brainer that we were going to go to the Sun Belt because that is really where we're seeing this tremendous growth in both residential and commercial. And of course, a lot of commercial growth follows residential. But it is a national event. It is not specific to Arizona. So, we are really going to hear from some great thought leaders on, why the Sun Belt, why we're experiencing this residential growth, if it's going to last. Jeff, I shared with you earlier today that just this week, we had our year over year numbers come out, and some of these are really surprising.
Yeah, 23% year over year growth in residential
Yes.
is significant.
It is. So, yeah, we experienced for 2021 construction put in place 23% over 2020. And 2020 wasn't a low year. 2020 was over 2019. So that wasn't coming back from some sort of pandemic dip. That is what it is. So, we're also seeing pretty strong year over year growth in the commercial market was up 4%. And commercial, as the census defines it, is retail, and it is that kind of market. And we also saw a pretty strong growth in water, wastewater, and some of that is really due to that expanding residential market in some of these locations. And so that's really, really interesting. And those are the kinds of trends that we're going to talk about. One of our first speaker that we have joining us is the director of real estate nationally for PricewaterhouseCoopers. His name is Andy Warren, and he is the co-editor and author of Emerging Trends in Real Estate, which is an annual report PwC and ULI put out. And it is really seen as the Bible, of where we are with both commercial and residential markets, but especially commercial. And that report is really the summary of an annual survey they do of 1,700 folks, most of whom are clients of our industry.
Yeah, this is I think it goes to the type of event that you're putting together here, because that's a big get when you have the person who is running the real estate portfolio and for PricewaterhouseCoopers nationally. That's a big attraction, because that's some thought leadership that you're not going to get anywhere else. Or if you're going to get it, you're going to get it at a larger event, which is kind of a cattle call of everybody regionally. What we're talking about here is a kind of a boutique limited event where you have under 100 people who are in your field that are in either land development, engineering, or what have you. And it gives you an intimate setting to talk to people who are really on the cutting edge of these issues, and the flexibility to hear from them, talk to them, and network and share information. and that's kind of what separates the symposium apart from a lot of other events, is that it's
Right.
designed with the engineer in mind. It's
It's
designed
yeah,
with
it's
that
not
member in
designed
mind.
for construction folks. We're
Yeah,
not gonna talk about projects and markets and client sectors where the design has already happened. We're gonna talk
exactly.
about really forward-looking trends so that we can understand as engineers, as the AE design community, what's happening. So,
Yeah, I mean,
besides Andy Warren, we have a really great lineup. We
yeah,
also have an economist with Zonda Home. And, I don't know how if our members are familiar with Zonda Home, but they're essentially the economist to home builders. They're the largest home building prop tech company in North America. And those kinds of residential trends that drive so much of the other design opportunities, I think is going to be really interesting for us to hear. And also hear, in this moment of growth that we haven't seen since before the last recession, before the Great Recession, how will this possibly slow down with interest rates coming up and with, some of the other measures that we have to take in the macro economy to sort of cool it down a little because of some of the overheating we're having with wages and supply chain. How is that balance and the economic activities we're going to see around that impact the residential market? And I think that will be really interesting.
that, and then you're also looking kind of on the technology, emerging technology side. You have a speaker who's going to be focused in on digital twins, and in the Phoenix area as a case study of using a 60. Actually, no, it's a 90 block of Phoenix area, a core area of the city, and setting that up as a pretty much a digital twin to help for planning and development of that city center, which is a great kind of case study
Right.
for the use of this technology, and that our engineering firm members are using on a daily basis.
Right. And I'm coming in cold. I don't know what a
Yeah.
digital twin is. And I don't think many of our members do either. So I have a couple of our land development guys that I was chatting with about our agenda, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know about this, Aaron." And I
I
don't
just
either. But
know,
I think
yeah,
that's one of the cool
it's
aspects of
cool.
having a speaker like this. Evidently, the Phoenix, tapping into the local talent for our some of our speaker pool. The Phoenix area is partnering up with Arizona State University and Amazon Web Services and a couple of other sort of international leaders to create this digital twin with the idea of really impacting a 90 block core of the built environment in Phoenix to improve the city. And, what is that? How are engineers and those of us that design the infrastructure in the buildings, how do we interact with the digital twin? How are our clients expected to help contribute to something like this? I think this is one of those sessions where we're definitely going to learn something that we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, this is cool stuff. I mean, that's a I know enough to be dangerous, right? It's just a
Yes.
one for one digital representation of what you see physically. So you can imagine, I mean, if you're looking at an area like downtown Phoenix in a 90 block area and you're creating a digital twin and you want to make a change or you want to engineer something or the municipality wants to change something, you can change it on the twin and you can model the impacts without actually having to worry about doing anything in the real world. But outside of that, that's as far as my knowledge base goes. So I'm
Right.
sure that there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff talked about there. And then, I mean, interesting. I found this one interesting for Phoenix because everybody looks Phoenix desert, but you also have a speaker on mass timber.
Right. So, looking to another national trend, the sort of codes have changed within the last couple of years to allow mass timber buildings to really be used by commercial developers. So they can be built up, multi-story, more than the three or four sort of stick-built multifamily. We're not talking about that. We're talking sort of this CLT kind of, which is cross laminated timber projects that are being used for buildings that are really a couple 100,000 square feet. So it's only being done in a handful of spots in the country, but one of those spots is Mortensen, the large construction company, is also a co-developer, and they're building. It's going to be done this coming May, a 184,000 square foot office building. just outside of Phoenix that is a mass timber building. So they are going to come and tell us about, what this experience is, what it means to design, oversee, develop, and construct a mass timber building, and really what are the sustainable features. One of the reasons that mass timber is getting such interest is because of that captured carbon. So it just sort of goes back to those other big trends of sustainability, of ESG, and how does this kind of building impact those sort of trends?
Yeah, and that's great from a material selection standpoint. I mean, our firms are being asked to design cutting edge, innovative options that are fitting more client needs that they the clients have goals that they have to hit. They have to hit certain sustainability goals, and mass timber is increasingly playing a big role in that. And then, of course, rounding out the event, you're going to have our very own Aaron McLaughlin,
Yes.
who's going to be talking about the impact of the infrastructure bill
Right.
and kind of the outlook on the market, which that is still the big news in
Right.
Washington.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much, sort of, I'm going to help communicate what we at ACEC are looking at with regards to, the infrastructure bill passed. We know it includes some of those traditional measures connected to transportation and water, of course, but really what's in the bill that's going to impact commercial and residential development or adjacent markets. So I'm going to brief our attendees, on what we are seeing from ACEC on broadband, on energy efficiency, on other sort of tax credits, loans, and sort of different instruments that we see our clients on the private side being able to take advantage of as a result of this infrastructure bill. And besides me, we're going to hear just straight from some big clients of our members. So we're going to hear on the residential side from Lennar Corporation and Pulte Group to talk about residential. We're going to hear from Trammell Crow, which is a national commercial real estate firm that also does a lot of development on what they're seeing. So, we're also going to hear from clients, which I think is important. So, we're really doing a combination of big market outlook, interesting trends, and also hearing from clients.
Yeah, it's that unique kind of mix of information and perspective that we really work to strive to accomplish on events like this, just like you're trying to do with the private industry brief. Really hone in on a specific market sector and really detail what's happening and drill down into what's happening there. We're trying to just take that and make it into a physical event, right? So it's very
Right.
specific information for a lot of our member firms who are in the private market, and then also for those who are also doing work in public sector, because with growth in residential or commercial real estate is going to use the require greater use of utilities and the infrastructure to actually support this growth.
Yeah, community infrastructure. Retail follows rooftops, water, wastewater, secondary roadways, all sorts of trends that are applicable to all different kinds of firms will be discussed.
So one thing to think about is that the early bird registration period, where you can save some money on getting your spot secured, has been extended until the 9th. All right,
Yes.
so essentially, we're talking about next Wednesday is when the early bird ends, and there's also a hotel rate deal which is
Yes.
tied in with that also expires on the 9th.
Absolutely.
So go to after you're done listening to this, go to www.acec.org, go up to the top of the page, you'll see business resources, and then click on that and you're going to see private market resources. Go to that page, you're going to see all the information that we discussed here about this symposium and where you can register. But if you look for an excuse to go to Phoenix, the
Yes.
Phoenix area, there you go. If you're in the great American Southwest, head on down to Phoenix, the Scottsdale area, rather, and attend this event again, March 3rd and 4th. It's going to be great. And yeah, hope to see everybody there.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. So, I mean, this is, again, I also take this moment to plug something else that we're doing on a monthly basis, which is a monthly economic update, which we are putting up on YouTube. And Aaron does a fantastic job of giving kind of a macroeconomic breakdown in 10 minutes or less every month. And we have, I think, about 5 episodes so far up
Yeah.
there, and we'll be coming in with the February one very shortly. Um, so make sure to go over, like, subscribe, and get notifications for the next video to come out. It's great information to have. It keeps you up to date on what's happening, what's important to the
Yeah.
industry
This is such an
instead of
interesting time to be reporting out on this, as we sort of hopefully come out of this pandemic and how everything is changing, how we use, human behavior really impacts the built environment and impacts our markets. And it's very exciting to be able to sort of for us to have this dialogue at the symposiums and through our other communication means. So check
yeah,
it out.
absolutely, absolutely. So that's up on the website as well. You'll see those links. And Aaron, anything else you want to update us on before we head out? I know that you're working on a lot of different stuff. I mean,
We are, we
you and
are. Well, we're
Diane are
very
busy.
focused on seeing everybody in Scottsdale. It is, a cocktail reception on Thursday night, and then our program runs on Friday from early morning till early afternoon. And then there's plenty of time to play some golf and maybe spend an extra day or two in Scottsdale if folks are looking to do that. And Diana Alexander and myself on our team will be there and just look forward to seeing our members.
And then let's look ahead a little bit, because in April, at the end of April, we'll be
Yes.
looking at Boston for
Yes.
another market that's really hot right now, and that's healthcare science and technology.
Yes. I mean, talk about a well-funded market, just in putting together our agenda for that and thinking about it, coming out of a pandemic and the importance of healthcare and what kinds of buildings and what kinds of facilities we need for that. And then the kind of money that's pouring into the science and technology, the laboratory, the pharma sector. We're going to be talking about all of that, and we're going to be talking about it from Cambridge, Massachusetts, a stone's throw from MIT, Harvard, and Kendall Square. So we're just going to have so many great speakers. And again, we're traveling the country. We want our members to come meet us where the markets are hot. And yes, we're waiting for the snow to melt, but we're getting in before all the college graduations. It will be the very last Friday in April, and we hope to see people in Cambridge.
Great. Well, Aaron, thank you again for taking time out to talk about this. It's going to be a great event, and encourage everybody to go up to our website at acec.org and learn more and register. And this has been Engineering Influence, a podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. We will see you next time.